G'day golfers. Ever found yourself redirecting blame and making excuses after having an absolute shocker on a golf course? I know that I have. Range was closed, I was a little cold, didn't warm up, I hit it in those 3 old divots. Then we have the podcast for you. We focus on how to fundamentally own your swing. Strike it pure and consistently shoot in the 70s. Be it if you're a weekend hack, retired and playing daily, a school phenom or a tour professional. We present and discuss facts and physics pertaining to golf, trying to keep our ego and opinion at bay. We dispel myths such as keep your head down, bend your knees, or my all-time favourite, game improvement irons. So stop drinking that mythical Kool-Aid and have a sip of ours. I think you'll find it both inspiring and refreshing. I'm Scott Young, founder of Swing, PGA professional and ex-tour player. Welcome to Pivot the Path. G'day golfers and welcome to Pivot the Path. What a week this has been for me. I just took the red eye back from Dublin where we had the privilege of playing 3 different golf courses, about 84 holes in 4 days. I had a couple of Guinnesses over the time too, I'll be honest. I met a lot of Irish crew and I caught up with all my mates from back home in Sydney. We just had the best time in the world. Shout out to all the Knox crew, and it was for our 50 Club, the 50 Club Island 2025. So a group of my mates back home suggested, why don't we, as we're all turning 50, go play golf in Ireland? Now, there was a mixed bag of golfers. Most of the guys were off about 20, and we all struggled because it was struggle city. It was so windy, and we're going to use that wind and what we do here at Swing for our improvement pivot point a little later. But suffice to say, I've had the greatest 4 days ever. It was just fantastic. So we'll get into that in a little bit. Before we do, let's go news from the fairways. And it was quite an electric week on PGA Tour. And it was an electric week in the US generally. Who do we have first? Myles Creighton, first Canadian to shoot 59 on the Korn Ferry and has a hole-in-one too. I mean, dude, you've knocked it out of the park. Finished 17 under in Kansas. So, mate, fantastic round of golf, 59. That's insane. So getting back to James Niddy's, why do we watch, and I'm pushing everyone to watch Korn Ferry because they're so passionate. These guys are fighting for their golfing future. I mean, let's face it, anyone on Korn Ferry could be picked up, put on PGA Tour and easily win. So, mate, shout out Myles. That's 59 and a hole-in-one. That's just insane. So DP Tour did not play, nor did Liv. But excitingly for Aussies, Aussie, we had Minjee Lee, sister of Minjee Lee, won the KPMG shooting 4 under. 3rd major for Minjee. She can flat out play, obviously. And even though the rounds were a little long and a couple of the players were suggesting that the course was brutal, love it when only a couple break par. And Minjee, that's just fantastic. Which leads us to the PGA Tour. And this is kind of where we're going to merge into our improvement pivot point and on the greens for me. So the PGA Tour was, I hope for me, for Tommy Fleetwood to win his first PGA Tour event. And unless he didn't, there was a 2-way shift on 72nd hole where Keegan Bradley won the Travellers $20 million prize purse. Thank you, Travellers. Head office is about a block away from Swing. And it's pretty enormous in the event of what happened in that Keegan's basically going to be the first Ryder Cup captain to earn his spot to play in the Ryder Cup, which is out in Bethpage Black in a short few months, since about the 1960s. So that's pretty huge news. Now, when he held that 6-footer to win, the passion and energy, and he body slammed his caddy, and you can't make that up. And I really love the PGA Tour the last couple of weeks, me personally, because there's a lot of passion back in there. When JJ Spawn won that US Open, I mean, that, as I said, I jumped out of my chair. And I was traveling back from Dublin, so I didn't kind of see it. I was watching it on my phone as best I could. So I missed most of the event. But to see Keegan win and to win emphatically and with power and poise, I was just so happy for him. He's a Long Island boy. Met Keegan over the last 20 years being here in the city, and he's a good guy, and just I think he's going to really be the face of the Ryder Cup. So that's a ton of pressure, but just judging on how he handled himself in that tour event, bring it on. So what a lot of great players, and if you talk to great coaches about great athletes, it doesn't matter whether it's one of our members here who's a US rower, or we've got Wimbledon tennis pros, or you talk about Federer, who I've met, and all these amazing athletes. Great players expect the ball to come to them if they're playing soccer, or can't wait to have that 10-footer for the win. And great players thrive on the pressure of being in a pressure cooker situation. And I think Keegan could really set the tone for an amazing Ryder Cup, which places a lot more pressure on him being a playing captain. But based on last weekend, he's going to handle that and then some. So the Ryder Cup is in a really good spot, and it's going to be very boisterous. It's going to be very colloquial. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the Ryder Cup at Bethpage Black. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be bloody terrific. Poor old Tommy Fleetwood, mate. I hope you really look at your game from yesterday and see where, your shots may have let you down. Get back to your stats. Look at inside 120 yards. Did you get up and down for those wedge shots? Did you leave it below the hole? How was your mental state? I really hope that Tommy doesn't get too negative of having this, best player to never win on US soil. He'll get there, as long as you objectively look at your game. So if we look at the players we've been watching, obviously, Cam Davis came tied 57th. Cam Young came tied 52nd. And brother of Minjee Lee, Mingwoo, he came tied 63rd. So the Lee family had a phenomenal week. And again, shout out to their mum and dad. You've obviously created something there. Which leads us to on the greens, for me personally, and co-inhibiting improvement pivot point. So getting back to the boys, we organised our 50th celebration to go play golf in Ireland. Quick shout out to the Island Golf Club. Dave, the head professional there. It's in my top 3 of all time. Absolutely unbelievable golf course. Ambience, the way they welcomed us. They had lockers for us to put our travel bags in. I turned up there, so I decided to take the red eye. So worked all day on Wednesday and took the flight out at 9:30 p.m. Wednesday night to arrive in Dublin at 7 a.m. Quick coffee, straight to Island Golf Club, and then I practiced for about 4 hours chipping and pitching, and then went and played 9 holes, was absolutely shattered. The next day we all turned up, 12 of us, had a couple of Guinnesses the night before. And the boys at the Island Golf Club hung up the Australian flag, which I thought was such class. Dave, the head professional, and his team looked after us like there was no tomorrow. Very interesting, again, not harping on a point, but there were quite a few American groups playing. So basically in the golf club, I think it was 1890s it was formed. The golf club, there's a lot of tour buses, right? So there's a ton of American tour groups coming to play golf. Every single one of them was on a golf cart. And it's funny to see the Aussie crew, we all walked. And so there was about 3/4 of a mile walk from the clubhouse back to the range. And all the Aussie, and it was on the road into the golf course, and all the Aussies would walk back and all the American crew would drive. And I just can't stress enough how you'll play better golf if you're not driving. So we played the Island Golf Club, and that ate us up and spat us out. A lot of our crew shot a lot, and we used a local rule like I suggested the Ferry Point committee do down here at Bally Ferry Point. With a long raft, we just played a lateral water hazard to save time and to save a bit of 6-7 hour rounds. So Ireland was phenomenal. We had a couple more Guinnesses that night, and then we played the European Club, which is about 50 minutes south. Now, this golf course has just been bought, so shout out to Connor, the new owner. He came out and met us all, and we took photos, and the European Club is an absolute stop for anyone going to Dublin. So the new owners came out to introduce themselves, and they had explained that the course had just closed the week before. The original owner, designer, had sold it. He was 80, and it was time to move on. And the front nine needs a little bit of work. There's a ton of exotic vegetation that's really it's obviously just encapsulating the local fauna and affecting the local wildlife there. So I believe they're going to put in a ton of money to take out all these exotic plants and get it back to its roots. And they've got a new US architect coming in there to restore what I believe to be a phenomenal golf course. Probably the best back nine I've ever seen. It was on the cliffs, so something similar to Carry Cliffs down in New Zealand, or Bambangal Dunes down in Tasmania. But thoroughly recommend the 50-minute drive south. It's not your traditional Tralee, Lahinch, Portrush, but it's on the ocean. We'll show you some video. It's absolutely spectacular. But again, we hoofed this, we walked this, and it was about a 4.5 hour round. And all the crew behind us, who were the American crews, were all in their golf carts. And so they waited on us all day. And I just don't believe it sets you up to kind of feel the distances when you're playing in a golf cart. Now, this is where we're going to pivot here a little bit, and we're going to introduce our improvement pivot point. My role here is to create a new community, right? We're a new young brand. What I would like to do on a golf trip is, I got a little pissed off playing the European club. I hit 4 shots on the front nine because I played it blind that I thought were perfect, that were completely dead, and took double because I lost a ball. Yet, again, I played the shot absolutely perfectly. Now, I've got the yardage book, but how the courses are in Ireland is very different to American target golf for numerous reasons. Obviously, you're playing in the breeze. Like, I hit one par 4 where I've smoked a drive. I hit drive about 300. I flied about 300 yards, so about 280 meters. And I hit this thing beautifully, and I had a rescue, which I hit about 230 meters, about 250 yards. And I smashed that, and I think I hit it about 190. So my 250 club, I hit 190 to about 6 feet. And then I 3-putted because the first putt, blasted straight past. The point is, you can be in the middle of the fairway and have a downhill 1 foot ball below your foot, one foot. You can have the ball above your foot, about a foot. So it's island golf and Scottish golf is very unique. You've really got to trust and paint pictures of different shots. And a lot of the international travelers don't like when they hit the middle of the fairway, the ball might be above their feet 2 feet, right? And so you've got to play a big duck hook, even though you've hit the middle of the fairway. So you've got to use your imagination. But what I'd do for a golf trip, but a shout out to all the golfers organising golf trips to Ireland, what I'm going to do for our swing community, instead of playing 7 different courses in 7 days, I think we're going to play the island golf course twice, because I played the first time and I had 3 doubles the first day because, again, I hadn't played the course and I hit shots that I thought were perfect visually, even though I've got the book, that were incorrect. If I'd played the hole again, I would have hit, 2 iron out to the left instead of driver out to the right. So what I'd recommend if you're organising a trip with your crew is to maybe pump the brakes on playing as many brilliant courses as you can, but play the same course twice. That's what I'm going to recommend our swing community does. So if we go play the island golf course, play it the first time blind, turn up the next day and play it again, and you will absolutely play your game of chess around the course very differently. And so you might not be able to play as many different golf courses, but it's about enjoying yourself. And a lot of our guys, the common feedback was, oh, wow, I wish I got to play that hole again because I would have hit it out here instead of down there, because down there is where you visually the course wants to take you. But obviously the course has to be played like a game of old chess there. So bit of a shout out if you're organising a tour in Scotland or Ireland, because the golf, I was hitting 2 irons that I fly and hit about 240, 250. I was hitting those over 300 yards because they would roll 70 yards. So that's what we're going to do here if we get this trip up and going. And again, just a shout out to all the crew over there. And then on the last day, the guys are still going actually. They all went out on the soup and I went to bed pretty early, and then I got up at 5 a.m. and played my fourth round in a row, which was our third course, which was St Anne's Golf Club. Now, this is a phenomenal story. So it's 5 a.m, alarm goes off, quick shower, checked out the hotel, and off I go. I asked the cabbie to grab a coffee on the way. There's none. I'm like, ugh, that's fine. Would love a coffee in the morning. I turn up at about 5:45, which at St Anne's Golf Club, which is out on an island in Dublin, and it's opposite the road to Royal Dublin, which I tried to get on, but they were full. As I walk up, the whole place is pitch black. As I walk up to the clubhouse, the doors open. I'm like, oh, I was expecting no one to be here. And then this chap who's a man mountain, Stephen, shout out Steve and Andy. Stephen's the head superintendent at St Anne's. He's like, oh, I think you'd be in the wrong golf club. And I'm like, no, buddy, I'm here to play St Anne's Golf Club. I'm an Aussie PGA member. And well, lo and behold, Stephen then rolls out the red carpet and goes, mate, I'm going up for a cup of coffee before we, do all the greens. Do you want to come up and join us? So for half an hour, I speak to Stephen and Andy, only 2 guys on the green staff, very local golf club. There were 1,500 members. I think it's $4,000 to join and about $1,000 a year. Very local, from doctors to street sweeps, taking not one from the other. Just a really real person's golf club. And so I spent half an hour talking. We just had the greatest half an hour over a cup of coffee, which is why I play golf. Next time you go into Ireland and you're trying to play Portrush, Darnock, Tralee, all these Waterville, all these beautiful golf courses, don't forget the middle golf courses, because in my view, and this is just my opinion, golf is a game of community. And here I am with a complete stranger, offered a cup of coffee. Actually, we had 3. Cup of coffee for me. And we just talked and chatted and talked all things Ireland. So I realized, and he told me that the American crew are coming to live in Dublin to retire, because for $500,000 you can get a 5-bed, 3-bath house on the water with a golf course membership, with very little medical healthcare if you need new eyes, new hips, new knees. And so I learned a lot about Dublin, which I wouldn't have got playing all the fancier golf courses, because it becomes an experience where the GM and the pro roll out the red carpet because you're playing $450 euros for a game of golf. This place, they let me on for free as a PGA member, so shout out Bill, the head pro at St Anne's. But we just chatted. It was delightful. It was just a really nice 30-minute bonding with a complete stranger around the game of golf. And that's why I play golf. And so when I turned up to the Island Golf Club on my own for 9 holes, I must have met and chipped with an old lady. She must have been 75, and I'm just having a little chipping competition with her. That's what golf's about, and that's what the Australian way of playing golf is. We kind of embrace the game a little more. We play Ireland and Scotland, and it doesn't have to be the fanciest golf club. St Anne's was a little rough around the edges here and there, but it was exquisite. I was the only person on the front 9. I'm playing in amongst marshes that were set off with environmental zones where there were birds and pheasants, and we had pheasants on the Island Golf Club. The point is, you really grasp the essence of the game. So next time you're planning a trip, you might not have to go to the fanciest golf club. Fly to Ireland. Spend 5 days immersed in their culture. Have a damn Guinness. It's the greatest drink ever. Have some cups of coffee. The boys probably had a bit more Guinness than I did, but embrace the culture that is island golf. It's second to none, which brings us lastly to our improvement pivot point. And I think this is where swing is pretty cool. I went to the range and we played Ireland on Thursday, Ireland on Friday. We played European Saturday, and I played on my own on St Anne's. Not one person and they had the British Open pre-queuing at Island Golf Club today. So throughout Thursday and Friday, we saw a ton of young top British amateurs practicing on the range. Not one had alignment rods, right? At the Island Golf Club, the wind was howling left to right. So I wanted to go up the very right-hand side of the driving range and hit into the wind. But I had my alignment rods down, and as I'm warming up at the Island Golf Club with the breeze howling left to right, there was just a very quick warm-up for me because I didn't want the wind to affect what I thought about my ball striking. So for all the golfers listening on radio and for the golfers watching on video, if this white rod arrow represents target line, okay, why I'm so pedantic on face relative to path? Because I try to get all my golf community to take the club straight back on a takeaway, keeping the face square to the body and also parallel to the target line. Every one of our golfers, and pretty well every golfer I saw in Ireland, completely different country, same as Australia, same as all our community in here, they want to take the club back like Justin Thomas, inside and open. Now what happens, because the club face is opening, the face is going to be greater than path. So as I'm coming from the inside, my face will be open to the right. Now, I can close that. I can spin my shoulders. I can swoop my hands to close it. But the point is, if you have a tone every time you're playing golf of opening and rounding the club, you're going to do that with your chipping. You're going to do that with your putting. That is irrefutable. And where swing is very, very different is that we are trying to retrain an entire industry that you don't look at Rory. So when TPI talk to all these golf pros and they're using ground force reaction, which is absolutely irrefutable, wonderful force, let hit the ball hard. And they're talking about Rory, who just hit a 5-iron, I think it was 300 yards. What they're missing is improving golfers holistically. And to improve a golfer must be able to shape the ball both ways, because when it's windy and when the pin is on different parts of the green, we have to shape the ball from the long miss of a green to the short miss. If the breeze is howling right to left, we have to shape it left to right. When the breeze is howling left to right, we have to shape it right to left. And where that gets lost is when most golfers, and conservatively 90%, open the face and whip the club on the inside. Whilst that won't destroy their actual golf shot for that moment, it's setting the tone for a face that's opening 90 degrees and has to close. When you take, and again, if this is the arrow to the camera, for the golfers listening, I'm holding an arrow to camera. When I take the club inside and open, it is nearly physically impossible to control the ball flight starting left of target and hitting a fade. Most often the ball will start square to fade. For someone who's opening the face inside and open on the takeaway, it is very, very difficult to shape the ball with both directions with control. Not impossible. When you take the club back straight back, you've got options because the club face is staying square to the target line. So as I take the club back, the longer the club face stays square to my spinal cord, the easier golf is to represent. Okay, do it again. The longer the club stays square to my spinal cord, the more options I have to control different flights, and the easier it is to keep the face less than path. Golf doesn't have to be that technical. One of our mates, Scotty, who whips the club inside but re-delivers the club back to impact, he's actually delivering the club a little more shallow than myself, but unfortunately, he putts the same way. And so when golfers, you don't take the club straight back relative to the body and target line, it will influence into your chipping, your pitching, and your putting, and that's irrefutable. So what we're trying to do here at Swing is say, look, we don't teach a method. I'll never compare you to Rory, but we do understand that every golfer, and we proved it the last 4 days, can shape the ball both ways at will if they just control how much the club stays on the target line going back and lead with their hips, right? And so what we're trying to do is say, hey, you've got to get out and play all these beautiful golf courses. If you play only your single golf course, then you can basically do whatever you like. But we're trying to grow the game and grow a community where we want you to go and play these other different countries, and we want you to play in different conditions. We want you to hit the middle of the fairway with a ball that's 2 feet below your stance, that is going to cut. And if you've got a ball 2 feet below your stance playing Island Scottish golf, and you open the club face and the ball's going to go left to right, you cannot hit that green. Very, very difficult. And so I'm really proud of the Swing community because our improvement pivot point, we let a lot of all the bullshit just wash over and we bring it back to face, path, and low point. And if you can control face less than path, it doesn't really matter how much the breeze is blowing. You're going to be able to control the flight. So every time the breeze was left to right, I tried to hit a little draw. And every time the breeze was right to left, I hit a little fade. Now, did I do it every time? Absolutely not. But the misses that I had in Ireland were mainly because I hit shots on blind holes that I didn't know where the fairways were going and made several doubles, lost tons of balls, which gets us back to, hey, I'd like to play that hole in that golf course again. But every golfer, and this is my ethos, and when people say, what do you teach? I don't teach a method, I teach math and physics. Every golfer should be able to shape the ball both ways. And if you can't, what I would recommend is when you listen to that tidbit from whomever the platform, ask, Are they talking face less than path and gear effect? And are they talking, can I shape the ball both ways? And if they're not, I'd recommend you pivot your path and come on and maybe listen to how we're taking the club back. And so in closing, I've got to work on my putting start line still. I still have that club face a little open, so I'm going to work on really starting that club face down the target line. And I am getting a little steep into the ball. So I like to see that the golf shaft is under my trail elbow halfway into impact. And I know that my golf shaft was coming through my bicep, which means I was getting a little torso-y. So I'm going to reset, got a ton of video. And whilst I was pumping it left and right, I still noticed that I was a little bit on top of it, whether that was hotel beds and obviously, playing a little bit cold and playing a little bit of windy golf. But I know deep down in my heart, I didn't hit the ball great. I'm going to get a lot more shallow this week, and I'm just going to work on that putting, starting the ball on the target line. And so I've got a lot to work on based on video. So again, make sure you get your video when you're playing this weekend. I've got a lesson today at 1:00 with a chap who we're going to work on his mental routines. But Grego shared some video with me from the weekend, which I saw on the airport last night. Grego, you don't know this yet, but we're actually going to get your club face a little more square. He was getting a little closed going back, and we're going to create a little better posture for him. So video from the golf course is absolutely paramount. Go to Ireland, go and see the Island Golf Club, go and see St Anne's, go and see Steve, have a cup of coffee with him at 5:30 in the morning. It was actually one of my highlights. It was awesome. And just go play golf in different countries. Go out to Latvia and play golf. Go play golf in Croatia. Golf is a game where we're all about community because we've got a love of the game. And try and embrace the culture that the country is setting forth. And if that's hoofing your bag and carrying, go grab a light carry bag and hoof your bag and carry it. And remember, you can absolutely own your swing with the work you put into your golf off the golf course. I've got to work on shallowing it a little bit. I've got to continue to work on starting my damn putter on the target line so I can own my golf swing and shoot lower scores. Beauty golfers, remember, newsletter comes out Friday. We're going to recap and hopefully show some video from our 50 club in Ireland. Koshy, you're a legend. Boys, I hope you're still alive. You're probably drinking them out of Guinness, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.